An All-American homecoming for Mackenzie Holmes in the Pine Tree State as the Indiana Hoosiers square off against the Maine Black Bears next here on ESPN+. I'm Brian Stackpole, joined by the vaunted three-time Hall of Famer Sandy Thomas courtside, or actually high atop, I should say, the Cross Insurance Arena for a huge game in Maine basketball history as the Hoosiers make the trip to Vacation Land to face the Maine Black Bears here out of the America East Conference. Not a rich and storied history between these two programs, as this will be the third meeting all-time between Indiana and Maine, and it's the first time since 2004 that these two teams have squared off. The last time, of course, going to the Hoosiers, 67-59, as this will be the third meeting. Both prior matchups have gone to the Hoosiers. Well, Sandy, let's look at some key players, and we don't have to look much further than the homecoming for the All-American Mackenzie Holmes.
Number 54, Mackenzie Holmes. Homecoming indeed. She's a 6'3" center, fifth-year student from Gorham, Maine. Very familiar with this basketball court here at Portland Civic Center because she's won 3 state championships here for Gorham High School. Averaging 17.8 points per game, 6.8 rebounds, 2 assists. Preseason All Big Ten. Preseason All-American. She dominates inside and has 9 blocks. And Indiana's offense runs through number 14, Sarah Scalia, and Mackenzie Holmes.
And for the Black Bears, we're talking about another person with a lot of accolades, the reigning player of the week and the player of the year in the conference, Adriana Smith.
This is going to be a fun matchup to watch. A lot of difference in height for sure. From 5'10", Adriana Smith, number 33, junior forward out of Reston, Virginia. And of course, Mackenzie Holmes is 6'3". Adriana's averaging 12 points per game, 11 rebounds, a double-double, 3.1 assists. Has 4 double-doubles in 4 of the last 7 games, 5 of 7 games double-figure rebounds, and leads the team in assists with 11 per game.
Of course, this is a unique matchup for the Maine Black Bears to have a home game of sorts, but 2 hours away from Orono, where their campus is located. We're down in the biggest city in the state of Maine, Portland, and it's a little bit further abroad, so more of a neutral site game for the Maine Black Bears, and also looking around the crowd as well, you'll see a lot of red sprinkled in with the navy and light blue, befitting a Black Bear faithful.
Well, every college coach tries to bring a team to their home state, which is what Coach Morin has done with these Indiana Hoosiers. But I also think Coach Vachon and her staff does a really good job of also trying to bring games down to the southern part of Maine to her southern Maine players.
Well, it should be a good matchup, and the coaching matchup is absolutely splendid as well. You talked about Coach Terry Morin. She's in her 10th season with the Hoosiers program, but 21st overall. She just picked up win number 400 earlier in the season, and we talk about a coaching pedigree for Coach Morin.
Yeah, Coach Morin has been around for a while. I believe she's in her 20th season of coaching. She was a head coach at Indiana State, 3-year associate head coach at Georgia Tech, 7 years at the University of Indianapolis, 6 years assistant at Butler. She's in the Indiana Hall of Fame, and she was also Coach of the Year last season.
And not only are you in 3 Hall of Fame, Sandy, but also Coach Vachon's in, I think, 5, 6, 7, 8. It adds up every single year, but Coach Vachon's really garnered a lot of respect in the Northeast for her prowess as well.
And she and her staff do a great job with this University of Maine Black Bear team. She's a player's coach, which is always fun to play for somebody like that. She gets the best out of her players, and we'll see what happens tonight against one of the best in the Big Ten, Indiana Hoosiers.
Should be an excellent matchup here, too. And speaking of homecomings, Sarah Talon actually a little closer here in Portland than she is normally in Orono, Maine. So it's going to be an interesting matchup, to say the least, here, as it'll be an electric sellout crowd. The only tickets that were left were some UMaine student ones, and even those were very, very sparse.
Yeah, they did say that the general admission tickets were sold out. There might be a few seats here that students aren't taking, but Sarah Talon's been playing some good basketball this beginning of this season. She's actually been starting. We'll see what happens tonight. I believe she was out there when they called out the starting lineup, but she's a nice, smooth player, developing. She's gotten physically stronger over the summer, which was huge for her.
Starting lineup first for Indiana. Our zone, Scalia. We'll also have Moore, McNeil, Parrish, and Holmes wearing the red with the white numbers, letters, and trim for the Black Bears, clad in that light Maine blue. It'll be, of course, Olivia Rockwood, the senior from Windsor, Vermont, and Simon from Luxembourg. Sarah Talon, of course, from Windham. Caroline Bornman from Hirschholm, Denmark, and Adriana Smith from Reston, Virginia. And the Black Bears have really had some incredible talent from the Virginia Commonwealth.
Well, Olivia Rockwood herself had a great game the other night. She had 18 points, all 6 with three-pointers. So we'll see how she can shoot that ball tonight against a good defensive team in Indiana.
And what a unique tip-off, too. It's the two Mainers, Talon versus Holmes, and Mackenzie wins this one. And we are underway from the Cross Insurance Arena. Brian Stackpole and Sandy Thomas with you. And we appreciate you joining us on this Thursday evening for a very highly anticipated matchup here, Sandy.
Yeah, I like what I'm seeing out of the zone that Maine is playing. They look like they're playing a 3-2 zone, and they are really collapsing and doubling down on Mackenzie Holmes on the block.
That shot was up and no good for Garzon. The Black Bears stand strong defensively. And now Ann Simon, Player of the Year back before, not last year, dealing with injuries a year ago. Adriana Smith getting that honor, so the Black Bears have 2 out on the court there in terms of the top honor given the American East Conference.
Well, we'll see what these Hoosiers can do against Maine zones. Indiana does not play a zone, and they also don't have a press right now that they're using. So any team that doesn't play a zone tells you that they don't play a lot against a zone in practice either. So again, we'll see what happens here with them against Maine zone.
So a block for Holmes, but unfortunately she steps off the end line. It'll be Black Bear basketball with a fresh 30 seconds of shot clock. Maine really, at least now it looks like they might change their determination. Some clarity on this one. Coach Vashon barking over him to get some clarity on that one. It did seem like Holmes got the block and then grabbed it down and stepped out of bounds all in one motion.
Yeah, she definitely stepped out of bounds with I think the official was clear on the call. The off official.
And Simon for 3 in the corner. No good. They did not reset the shot clock, so they had to fire that one off quickly. And here come the Hoosiers going the other way. Swinging around Parrish now into the corner. Shot up. Scalia no good. Rebound pulled down by Rockwood for the Black Bears.
Yeah, Maine's going to have to keep an eye on Scalia. She's averaging 18.7 points per game, 4.3 rebounds, and 2.6 assists. She's a shooter and a scorer.
Officials for today, Michael McConnell, Doug Knight, and Corey Chambers, the 3 clad in the gray and black. Seen Adriana Smith for the Black Bears here in recent games, really starting to find that three-point form. Pocket picked on Boardman, and here come the Hoosiers going the other way for Indiana.
Yeah, Laura McNeil just made a clean pick off the dribble.
And a travel called on Holmes. And you touched on it a little bit, though, Sandy. This is not an unfamiliar court. I know she's been in college now. This is her 5th season with Indiana, but this is a place of good memories for Mackenzie.
Yeah, and you can't help but think, even though she's a 5th-year student, she's got every single accolade you can think of. But still, she probably had a little bit nerves here tonight, playing before a home crowd since probably this will be the 5th year she hasn't been playing in front of a home crowd. So, yeah, probably some nerves.
Simon for 3 is up, no good. Rims are a little bit more sturdy, so to speak, than what these teams might have been playing here in the recent times.
Well, you mentioned before that while we were watching the warm-up, neither team was really hitting the ball, hitting the nets very good, and I think it is because of the rims. Very, very tight here.
Top of the key 3, no good. Holmes trying to battle with it, but it's going to be a foul called on the rebound attempt. It looks like it's going to be on the Black Bears for the first one of the contest.
Yeah, I think Mackenzie Holmes had 3 Maine ball players on her on that one.
Thing to kind of keep an eye on, too, and we've seen this throughout no matter what the matchup, but with the number 17th ranked team in the country coming in Indiana, Maine is severely undersized compared to the Hoosiers.
Well, you look at their starting lineup. The Hoosiers were, I believe, the smallest person in the starting lineup was 5'11". Everybody else 6'2", 6'3". Maine, I think their tallest player out there right now is Adriana Smith, who is she's listed at 5'10", but I believe she's more like 5'11". But yeah, they're small but quick. Just like that, though. Simon can get to the hole. She's just going to make those shots.
And Simon has erupted after dealing with the injuries last year. The ball fed into the corner. Swung around. That's good ball movement. Parrish for 3. No good. Good box out for Smith, who's been racking up double-doubles all season long already this year, Sandy.
Yeah, she's going to have to really use that body of hers to really box out Holmes. Had 2 players from Maine on her at that point.
Black Bears just coming back from a trip to Des Moines, Iowa. 1-for-2 performance, only beating Louisiana Tech, losing to Richmond, and of course the home team Drake in that tournament.
Yeah, Drake had just come off a pretty good game against Iowa. They lost to Iowa and Caitlin Clark, but they played well.
Backdoor pass intended for Simon is no good. It's pickpocketed away, and a good interception there from the Hoosiers. More McNeil resetting the offense, loosely guarded here by Simon, giving her much space, respecting the speed. They work it into Holmes for the first basket of the contest, and it rattles down through after dancing on the iron.
And that's what Maine cannot do. They cannot allow her to have the touches down there that low. They're not going to be able to stop her down there below that block.
With 6 minutes and 10 seconds left on the first quarter clock, it's got to be at least a little feather in the cap of the Black Bears that they were able to keep this team averaging 82 points per game to just 2 points now through almost 4 minutes.
Yeah, Maine's defense has been playing well. They've been mixing it up a little bit, both man-to-man and the 3-2 zone.
Simon throws that one up. A foul called on the court. That'll be called on Chloe Moore McNeil, the senior from Greenfield, Tennessee.
Simon will get 2 shots. I think she was shooting that ball.
So a chance to tie it up at the line. Foreman will check out. And we'll see Paula Gallego from Barcelona, Spain, stepping into the court for the Black Bears.
Paula just does a good job on those things that you, from a coach, that you want to go unnoticed. Just really a hardball player at both ends of the court.
Simon gets her first point of the game, and the Black Bears as well on the strike this time through. Also entering the fray is number 52, Lily Meister, a sophomore from Chester, Minnesota. Tie game, perfect 2 for 2 from the stripe is Simon. Moore McNeil gives it over. Scalia swings it over to Garzon. Some screens being set there. Looks like they were trying to switch that one off. Whistle on the court, and Amy Vachon not too pleased by the Black Bear bench on the left side.
Well, again, the shooter there, Moore McNeil, is a lefty. Went to her right, and it's really difficult for that defensive player to get the proper hand up to defend that left-hand jump shot, and as it ended up being, I think it was Ann Simon that may have fouled it.
2023, all Big Ten second team, and honorable mention last year.
He's also all Big Ten defensive player and sportsmanship award.
Last year led the team in assists and free throw percentage, and showing her exploits right there with back-to-back makes to double up the Black Bears early in this one.
Interesting, before she came into this game, she was only 1 for 3 from free throw line right now. But again, when that ball gets pounded inside like it does for Indiana, you don't get a lot of free throw takes.
Good move. Smith off the window, a little too heavy. Rebound pulled down by Parrish. Work it around, the up and under. Too hard off the window. Black Bears battling for it, and it's Adriana Smith. 4 double-doubles already on the season. She ranks 5th in the NCAA Division I ranks in that regard.
Yeah, and she does it all. She really, really does. She's right now she's number 8 in the America East. 9 in points, 1st in rebounds, 5th in assists, and 1st in double-doubles.
And first in big-time moves to the bucket. Adriana Smith with her first basket, and the Black Bears tying it up. Good defense there. Last touch by Rockwood. And we will step aside from the Cross Insurance Arena in Portland. It's Maine 4, Indiana 4, here on ESPN.
At Bangor Savings Bank, we understand that to deliver the best banking experience possible, meeting people where they are matters. That's how we fulfill our fundamental promise that you matter more. We are more than just a bank. We are friends, neighbors, and tireless advocates for the communities we serve. Wherever our customers are in their financial journey, we are there with them every step of the way.
When it comes to cleaning up the competition, Bananas has you covered. But when it comes to cleaning his own home, Bananas turns to Bouchard Cleaning and Restoration. Nice job, Bananas.
Hi, I'm Norm Bouchard for Bouchard Clean Restoration. Go Black Bears! Bananas, miss a spot.
Dairy farmers care about the health of our communities and planet. Nationwide, the dairy industry has set a goal to be carbon neutral or better by 2050. Maine dairy farmers are doing their part by using management practices like turning cow manure and food waste into electricity, using no-till crop production to promote carbon sequestration and soil health, and doing research in cow comfort, nutrition, and health at Maine Witter Farm to help meet the goal.
A family-owned and operated business since 1953, Hammond Lumber Company recognizes the value of their team members and the importance of employee satisfaction. Hammond is honored to have been named one of the best places to work in Maine for 3 years running. This year, Hammond was selected as one of the best companies to work for by Business New Hampshire magazine. Hammond is always looking for great people to join their team. To find your place on the Hammond team, click on the careers link at hammondlumber.com.
Lakeside in the Woods are just in town. For the rustic look in your decor, come visit us at 304. Turn your family room into a cozy retreat with warm leathers, natural woods, and rich textures. Our rustic Amish-made furnishings are ideal for your Maine camp or ski lodge. Create an inviting bedroom with rugged cedar furniture. Relax on the porch in hickory rockers and swings. Rustic style from 304 Stillwater Avenue Furniture. Perfect for homes and camps in the Pine Tree State. You'll always get more at 304.
The 4 score here in Portland, 2 hours away from the campus of the University of Maine. Brian Stackpole, Sandy Thomas with you, and it's the first time since 2004 these two teams squared off against each other. December 10th, 2004, Indiana winning 67-59. Game played in Orono, Maine, so this is the first time a little bit further south, but some names that Maine fans might be familiar with. Bracy Barker and Missy Traversy, both with 16 points in the loss, and coach of that team, Sandy? Sharon Versip, which I think Indiana fans might be familiar with, as Mackenzie Holmes gets her first bucket up and through.
They just moved the ball so well to get it into her hands.
First bucket since the break. 4 points overall, leading all scorers here currently, and a 2-point lead for the Hoosiers. Coach Versip, of course, a Purdue head coach for a long time. This one, a 3-point attempt, no good. Good effort as the Black Bears try to get that one back, and instead it goes to Indiana the other way. Parrish for a deep 3, no good, and it goes over the backboard and will be Black Bear basketball with 4:09 remaining in quarter 1.
Well, according to the scouting report, the first option for Indiana University is to run and score in transition. Of course, they can do that. They can get their bigs to outrun you and get to the block. That's an easy 2 points for them. But Maine's doing a good job in good transition defense. And they don't run a whole lot of complicated stuff. They just play their style and get the ball into their percentage shooters in the paint.
Simon goes to the corner. Over to Smith. Back to Simon. Moore McNeil going against her. There'll be a little trip up there between Simon and Moore McNeil, and that will favor the Black Bears' Luxembourg native.
What's interesting, too, with IU is that they do run their offense through Holmes and Scalia, and those two account for 50% of a team scoring. And so, when you do a scouting report, you say, well, let's shut these two down, let everybody else beat us. But it's still a well-balanced team, especially defensively.
When we talk about points per game, we talked about the 82 for Indiana per contest. Maine is not necessarily lighting up the lamp when it comes to scoring points and scoring points in a big way. 57.4 is their average here through these first 7 games of the season. So it seems like this style of basketball is more befitting to what Maine's looking to put on.
Well, you take a look at IU's field goal percentage. It's almost 50% from the floor, 49.7. And to balance that off of what Maine is shooting from the floor, they're shooting 37%, almost 20% more than what Maine is shooting.
A dagger there from Scalia, the senior from Stillwater with 3.
Yeah, she's had 7 triples in the last 2 games, so she's a scorer and a shooter.
This one, 3-pointer going the other way. Black Bears can't get that one, but the rebound carries back out to Simon. Indiana with the largest lead in the contest, but the Black Bears battling back. Simon now with 5.
And who gave her the assist? Smith.
Yeah.
The 2 players that are basically Maine runs through them as well.
And a basket the other way. Scalia with another 3, back-to-back big buckets for her.
Well, if you're going to play a zone and stay in that 2-3, the whole light, well, they were actually playing 3-2. At that wing of that top of that 3 of the zone has got to get out there and get hands up on her.
Simon back to Smith, back to Simon again, and more contested as that one is going right towards the hoop, and it looks like there's going to be a foul. Barjesser.
Indiana seems having a little bit of a problem with that give and go and that little sneaky backdoor cut.
Third foul already called on the Hoosiers, and back again is Ann Simon to the line. Seems like she's been living there in the early stage of this one. This is her 3rd time on the line.
And before this game, she was 72%. I'm not going to say she's going to keep it going because I don't want to jinx her on this second one.
She's now 4 for 5. Here's the 6th attempt. She has been so spectacular for the Black Bears. Number 9 in scoring in Maine program history after the last jaunt out to Des Moines, Iowa.
She bumped up ahead of Liz Wood, and she's 203 points behind Siggy Quasar.
Players we're familiar with in the last decade or so.
Yeah, fun to watch.
Yeah. Blackbears have had some incredible players here, keeping it close in this one in the early stages. 3-point game, 12-9. Indiana on top. Another three-pointer. A little heat check there. Garzone trying to get that one through. Would have been the third straight three made by the Hoosiers. Alas, that one caroms out. Now the other way. Simon to tie it, and she gets it.
If she gets on and she gets hot early, Indiana's going to have to stay up on her.
10 of the first 12 main points have come from Ann Simon, trying to show off. Here's the steal. Can she complete the steal and score? Yes, she can. Black Bears with a lead.
She has such a great extension when she takes off with that layup. Either hand, left or right, she extends well to the backboard.
Just under 100 seconds left to go in quarter one. Maine with her first lead. Here's this one, a deep three, and again another battle. Won by the Hoosiers, and then a foul is called, and I think we'll see if they get that one on Hodgson for the Black Bears or Simon.
It's on Simon. I think that'll be her second.
Foul is on Simon. The team's third foul. Heard Sam Tracy, our PA announcer, here today.
Yeah, Coach Vachon gets, I believe it's Hodgson and Simon out of the game.
Give you maybe a little rest here for the last 85 seconds left on the clock.
Yeah, Olivia Rockwood and Sarah Talon come in for their spots.
Holmes trying to set the screen, pull-up jumper, in and out. Rebounds knocked out of bounds. Last touch by Holmes, so the Black Bears have the chance to add on to their 2-point advantage.
It'll be some nice confidence for them to go in at the end of this first quarter with a lead.
Foreman crosses the timeline. Maine works around the perimeter. Black Bears at least looked timid at the early stages of this one, but that timidness has definitely evaporated. Simon, though, Smith, a little too hard off the glass, and an easy rebound there for Barchester.
Yeah, she can't be too intimidated with that height in front of her. What she's going to do is ball fake. Get Mackenzie Holmes up off her feet and create a little bit of a foul or even an over and under to shoot a layup.
Holmes goes to the line. Little size differential between Olivia Rockwood, the former Vermont Gatorade Player of the Year. She's listed at 5'6". Holmes 6'3", but the smaller Rockwood trying to stuff Holmes on her homecoming. That one up. And here's the thing too, Sandy, I've noticed is the fans don't want to boo and heckle Mackenzie Holmes here in the homecoming. Another player for Indiana, they might be a little bit more advantageous to throw some noise at.
Well, they'll applaud her for sure. But, good basketball fans appreciate good talent. So you're going to applaud anybody who plays as hard and as well and is probably one of the top players in the nation in Mackenzie Holmes. So we don't get many of those from Maine. So
here's Borman, swings it over. There's J.C. Christopher. She was originally a Boston University commit, number 4. Rockwood takes the top the key 3. Long rebound, pulled down. Scalia crosses the half-court line. Barchester. Parrish back over. They swing it around. They're looking to try to get it underneath the Meister.
Yeah, Maine's doing a really good job of front coverage and weak side help coverage on anybody cutting into the paint.
15 seconds on the clock. Shot clock's down to 8. The shot is up. No good. Rebound. Still a battle. Meister goes down. Still carrying around. The clock finally will stop at 7.2, but a jump ball favoring the Black Bears.
Well, we'll see what kind of a play the Black Bears will run here with 7.2 seconds left. Coming up the full court. See what they set up here.
And Simon returns to the floor here with the final frames of the first. And it makes sense, too.
Chancy a little bit with 2 fouls with 7 seconds left to go. But she's basically a 5th year and senior, and she should be smart enough to stay away from that.
Especially on the offensive side, you'd have to imagine.
Well, hopefully she doesn't pick up a charge.
Drives in, pull-up jumper off the glass and in. Black Bears 16, Indiana 14, as Maine takes the lead into the first quarter break. As you're watching college basketball here on ESPN+.
Fashion always came easy to me. Then I
right now, I believe, is number 17 in the
17, yeah.
nation. You want to go out with a big-time game against them, but you also want to win. So, again, she's really trying to help her team do that, going hard to the basket, sticking her free throws,
Yep.
playing good defense down at the other end. So this is a good quarter for Maine. Hopefully it'll give them even more confidence going into the second quarter.
Well, I have to ask, too, Sandy, as a former assistant coach with the University of Maine, but, of course, the University of Michigan with the Wolverines back in the day as well. Any stories about some run-ins with the Hoosiers on the women's basketball scene back in the day?
Well, again, most of my run-ins were with the assistant coaches out on the recruiting trail. We were always recruiting the same kind of player,
Yeah.
but no, we had, I think we might have beaten them in the 4 years we were at Michigan, maybe it was 5 years we were at Michigan. I think we might have beaten them once. They were a tough team. They always have been.
Of course, Sandy always claims that she taught Chris Webber everything he knows.
Well, I didn't. I really did not teach him anything about free throw shooting. Obviously, free throw shooting. Obviously, the poor guy. His hands were so huge. It was like shooting a golf ball.
Here's Bournemouth back around Smith. 5 on the shot clock. Has a nice lane. Beats Parrish towards the
Yes.
bucket, and she now has 4, and she's the only other Black Bear other than Simon to have points on the scoreboard.
Well, and she's got number 33 on her, Sydney Parrish, who's 6'2". She can battle her a little bit easier than she can the 6'3", good size Mackenzie Holmes.
Another deep 3. This one caroms out. Rebound pulled down from Smith again, who's just a rebounding machine here
Yeah, I'm
today.
guessing she'll have another double-double today, definitely on the rebounds.
Simon looking to score more instead. A beautiful pass, but a little too hot to handle for Smith, and it's taken away as the Hoosiers go on the other side.
Yeah, I don't think Smith was ready to receive that. Adriana was just tapping her head, and I think what that might mean is she needs a sub, and immediately Coach Vachon goes to a substitute.
Good up and under for Beaumont as she gets on the board here with her first bucket. Black Bears up by 2 points here.
I like the fact that the Black Bears are slowing it down a little bit on the offensive end, because if they get in a running game with Indiana, they'll be in trouble.
Indiana playing their 7th game. The Black Bears 8th, and the Wyndham, Maine native Sarah Talon with her first basket to give the Black Bears a 4-point edge.
Sarah goes to the rim really, really well, and she's so long. She's got long arms and long legs that she finishes high and finishes well.
And then Mackenzie Holmes says, "No, I'm the main attraction here."
Well, that's what Maine's got to remember. They're so good in the transition game, and Mackenzie Holmes runs the floor so well for a big girl, and that's just going to be 2 points for them if they don't get back in the floor in transition defense.
Chance for the and one opportunity. The 3-point play the old-fashioned way. Coach Morin not necessarily worried about the rebound here, and why should she? Nothing but net there for Holmes. 1-point game, narrowest of advantages for the Black Bears here. Talon with it. Joined by Rockwood, Gallego, Christopher, actually, beg your pardon, number 25, Caroline Dotsey, the first-year player, and Simon. A little further abroad here, we're really testing my eyesight from the high and top of the Cross Insurance Center as opposed to courtside, but won't be complaining by any means. Beautiful vantage point to watch that bucket from Ann Simon once more. She is a wagon of scoring here tonight, Sandy. Beaumont for another 3. Front rim to now. Another rebound pulled down from Simon. By the way, Smith out of the contest, 5 rebounds already, 4 points, so she's well on her way to another double-double.
But I like the fact, too, that Coach Vachon trusts her players enough to let her know when they need a break, when they need a breather, and that's exactly what Adriana Smith just did.
Dotsey played a lot more in the early stages versus Quinnipiac early in the season. Not necessarily the brightest moment for the Black Bears in the season opener. It's a winnable game, at least in my opinion, but Maine sort of struggled out of the gate in that matchup. Then righted the ship, and it looked like they'd be the best team in the A-10. However, they play in the America East, as they were beating up on teams, including the preseason favorite, Rhode Island, who they won just a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, what a great game that was. And this team with this coaching staff is just going to get better and better, and Ann Simon is feeling it.
She is unstoppable, extending the Black Bears lead up to 6, 25-19.
It's like Ann Simon 18, Indiana 19.
Well, she was on fire versus the Rams last time she played in the Pine Tree State. Nearing a career best mark, just ended a bucket shy of that. Pass was going through and denied there from Adriana Smith. With 9 seconds left on the shot clock, and we'll get Beaumont out and checking in a Sandvik.
Yeah, Maine right now is playing an excellent help weak side zone defense.
Oh, what a good pass in.
Missed the layup.
What a foul will be called, and we'll see if this one's called on Simon. She was in the vicinity.
If it is, that's her third, I believe.
It's either going to be her or it might be on Gallego. And that will be the latter as opposed to the former. Black Bear faithful here, of course, with a watchful eye on Holmes, but definitely would like to see the Black Bears stay competitive, and if they could pull out the victory, they would be ecstatic. Shot is up, and the shot is good.
Well, I only think the way IU is going to see themselves pull ahead here is they've just got to pound the ball a little bit more inside to Holmes. They've got to get the ball in the hands of Scallier if they're looking for three-point shots, but they've got to go through the players that their offense goes through. But Maine right now is shutting them down.
1 for 2 for Garzon. Black Bears swing the ball around the perimeter. Gallego just inside the arc. Smith had just 3 3-pointers in her whole first 2 seasons, and she's had more than that in the last couple of games. But it doesn't matter when Ann Simon cannot miss.
Give a little bit of credit there to Olivia Rockwood, too. She had a great setup on the hesitation.
Moore McNeil's shot just falls out. Another rebound, a 6-1, I believe, for Adriana Smith.
Pretty sure we're going to have another double-double. And another shot by Simon. Wow, the place would have gone nuts if that had gone in.
If that had fallen, Ann Simon might as well just walk out to a career-high best, because that was going to be bound to happen, and still might in this matchup. Good cross-court pass, 3-point attempt from the wing. No good. Rebound's going to be picked up by, guess who? Adriana Smith once more.
Well, once again, you take a look at how Maine's boxing out. There wasn't a red shirt in the vicinity of the ball.
That's 8 now for Smith. Just 4 points for her, so she's going to have to find a way to get the buckets, and a good feed inside, but again, too hard off the glass. Sandvik with the rebound. It's swung around. Try to work it into Holmes. Black Bears just completely collapse in on her, and coming out with it is Adriana again.
Yeah, that whole zone collapsed in on Holmes right in the middle of the paint. Those big girls do not like to bend over to get any loose balls. So again, if you can get on them and make them fumble a little bit, that ball is yours.
Feed it in. Simon back out. Gallego with the reset. Under 5 to play in the first half. Black Bears on top by 7. Gallego with intentions to get more. Little pump fake. That one's short. Follow up, and that will be last touch by Smith, who throws her hands up in disbelief as we head into a break. 4:43 left to go in quarter number 2. It's Maine 27, Indiana 20 here on ESPN+.
Winters are cold around here, and our clothing needs to be rugged. For practical gifts priced right, the best brands are at Miller's Workshop. Give them what they really want from Miller's Workshop and Brewer for brands that work.
There's never been a better time to get away. With a great deal on the Hyundai you've always wanted. Plus America's best warranty and up to 3 years complimentary maintenance. It's your journey. Own every mile at the Hyundai Getaway Sales Event. Now's the time to get in and get away. Get 0% APR for 60 months, plus 0 payments for 90 days, or $2,500 bonus cash on the Hyundai Tucson. Now, during the Hyundai Getaway Sales Event.
Achieving greatness requires setting clear goals and maintaining the proper work necessary to see them through. Success does not happen overnight. It is about a renewed sense of vision, a vision of what you want to be. Game changers see a window of opportunity and seize it. Change requires strength. That's why we partnered with Renewal by Anderson. Renewal by Anderson offers a product you can trust, unparalleled service, and the team will be with you from the beginning of the project to installation and beyond. If you're looking for a renewed sense of vision, go with Renewal by Anderson of Greater Maine, the official replacement window and door company of the Black Bears.
When you think of your financial future, how do you see you? And how do you see your path to success? At University Credit Union, we've been helping Mainers visualize and achieve success for more than 50 years. So do you see yourself buying a home, saving for a wedding, or freeing yourself from debt? With thoughtful solutions. Or freeing yourself from debt. With thoughtful solutions, great rates, and a love for our communities, UCU is here for you. Visit us at ucumaine.com.
That's going to really frustrate Amy Vachon and company. What a great coaching staff here for another year. Courtney England in her 7th season.
Yeah, they've got great coaches that understand how to relate to the players, and sometimes that's a little difficult nowadays, but they do such a great job, and they've got great kids. They do a very good job of recruiting quality young women and good students.
Feed into Holmes and another basket, and she's starting to gather those up here and makes it a 3-point game. Courtney England, by the way, just gave birth to her 2nd child in the early stages of this season, back on the bench, joined by Tom Biscuit, Gaddy Leff, and Matt Payton as well, too, in a unit that's been there for many, many years, as Gaddy Leff, the most newcomer with 2 seasons now under her belt.
Yeah, that last pass into Mackenzie Holmes was way too easy. You've got to get hands up on that passer. You cannot let Mackenzie Holmes get good position.
Good in, and there's a foul, and that one's going to be called on the offensive side of things. Scalia in disbelief, and so is the Indiana bench.
Yeah, especially since Borneman didn't fall over. You've got to do a little bit of acting on that one. I don't think they counted that basket, but I'm not so sure if they did on the scoreboard.
13 points for Mackenzie Holmes, 21 points for Ann Simon. So the Sandy Thomas jinx not affecting Mackenzie Holmes so far. Adriana Smith with 4 points, but almost 10 rebounds. Well, I'm sure she'll get one there, but she's now up to 6 points.
If you take a note, the last 2 times down on IU's possession, Coach Moore made some definite adjustments on that last timeout because they really have been able to get the ball very easily into Mackenzie Holmes the last couple of times down.
Another deep 3-pointer on its way, and nothing but nylon. Sarah Scalia again for 3.
Indiana right now, I think in the adjustments that she did make, they're reversing the ball against this zone a lot faster than they did previously. So Holmes is a lot more open, and they're getting the ball to her quicker.
Scalia, by the way, is a good feed in. Talon with a beautiful one fed into her, as she's now got 4 here in her Southern Maine return.
Indiana's falling for that little step fake before they take that dive to the basket and losing their player. Easy layup for Maine.
Sandy with 90 seconds left, too. Maine has really had some good advantages in this one. If you're the Black Bears, you want to put up at least as much of a lead as possible, knowing that Indiana's probably going to regroup at the halftime break.
True, but you've got to take good shots, too. You can't forfeit how well you've been playing just to get a last shot to make sure you're in the lead. You've got to take quality shots, and that's what Maine has been doing. And there's another one, a layup. That's a high-percentage shot right there.
We talk about the sophomore success for the Black Bears. We've seen that time and time again. Blanca Milan had a good step up. She was a multiple-time player of the year. Adriana Smith in her 2nd season was tremendous. And Simon taking a step up as well. And another steal and score for Ann. As Amy Vachon telling the crowd to get loud and crank it up. Sarah Talon might be the next in the line of sophomore success stories.
And Amy Vachon definitely has some pull down here in Southern Maine.
Oh, and
there's another steal by Ann Simon.
The bucket is good, as it is getting loud and proud here in the Pine Tree State.
I think right now Indiana's in a little bit of shock as to how quick Maine is on defense, how much they're getting down and getting easy layups.
A 10-point lead. They try to swing it into Holmes. This one up and under is beautifully done on Smith.
And you can see every time down, that's IU's offense. They want to just get the ball into Holmes, get easy percentage shots on the layups. But
Maine doesn't know how much time's left. That one's blocked. Borneman didn't have the effort or the intensity there. But nonetheless, it will be an 8-point lead for the Black Bears heading into the break. What a game here at the Cross Insurance Arena. As we'll step aside, come back with more at the break. As you're watching Women's College Basketball on ESPN+.
He is the former coach to pay attention to what kind of adjustments each coach makes coming out of the locker room. Now, Maine's got to keep up the intensity. They've got to keep up the battle frame of mind and the competitive frame of mind. They've got to box out, continue to box out well. And they've got to be afraid not to take their shots. Continue to make that backdoor cut because Indiana is struggling with that backdoor cut. Indiana's got to get the ball a little bit more into Mackenzie. And they've also got to play a little bit better defense on those cuts that Maine is making to the hoop.
Well, the Black Bears, who haven't played in Orono since November 14th, will have a little bit longer of a road before they get back to their campus, as they'll be taking on Fordham on the road on the 2nd here on that would be actually Saturday. I'm trying to get my bearings right here. It's been a long week already. They're back home on the 6th versus Harvard. They'll also welcome the Dukes of James Madison before heading down to the Tulane Holiday Tournament, back on the 20th and 21st of December.
Well, they'll be going down to New Orleans on that holiday tour. And I remember one of the years that I coached here at Maine, we took one of those Christmas vacation times down in New Orleans. What a fun time that we had, and good atmosphere and so forth. But I do remember us getting almost rained out because the roof of the arena was leaking.
Oh, yeah. That'll happen down there for sure.
Yeah, they have some pretty serious storms.
Yeah, Bangor Auditorium used to be delayed at times, where the Maine men's and women's team used to play back in the day. They would have cancellations or postponements due to rain leaking on the floor, some dead spots as well. By the way, if you're a women's basketball fan, January 6th, up in the campus of the University of Maine in Orono at the Pit, the Memorial Gymnasium, Vermont, Maine, rematch of two of the best teams in the conference. We'll keep an eye on that one, and we'll have that one for you here on ESPN+. Black Bears unable to get that one from Talon, but the offensive board for Caroline Boardman, and we are underway in the second half. Boardman, heel was on the line, which negates a pretty three-point shot from the wing.
Wow. Didn't look like she was that close, but I guess from up here it wouldn't look like that.
It's a unique vantage point. Normally in Orono, we are right courtside, right dead center. We're still dead center, but a little higher a foot here today. But absolutely beautiful vantage point and a sellout crowd from the arena of Cross Insurance variety.
Well, the advantage point from being up here is, too, is you can watch every single offensive play work its way out and watch people knowing where they're supposed to be cutting.
And you can watch the rebound and putback from Mackenzie Holmes, as that's her 17th point of the contest. Holmes really still living up to the hype here in this match.
She's a player. She's on every, like I said, I think I filled out a whole page of her accolades in the past and what she's been voted for as far as Big Ten Player of the Year, preseason All-American.
Oh, Simon, and then a good effort there by a couple different Black Bears, including Adriana Smith, gets it to Talon, and the Black Bears with second chance opportunities here on this possession. Lockwood, maybe not a Mainer, but a New Englander. Vermont native to Talon, who's blocked by Moore McNeil, and that's going to be a shot clock violation called on the Black Bears, who just seem a little out of sorts coming out of the break.
A little bit tentative, and Moore McNeil, I like the way she plays defense. She is always active. Her hands are active. Her feet are active. She's stealing, making steals off the dribble, and getting a steal off a block shot right there on Talon.
So much red here in this vicinity and facility as Parrish takes the three-point shot in and out. Rebound pulled down by Simon. And Simon is doing a great job as well. Not only does she have 25 points, but now she has 5 rebounds as well.
But she's going to give you a complete game.
I can't imagine that Coach Morin for Indiana did not say or try to figure out a way to drop with her assistant coaches a way to stop Simon. And her 25 first-half points. The problem is you have to worry about Adriana Smith, who's on her way to another double-double, which would be her 5th of the season.
And a great pass from Olivia Rockwood. She just kind of was going to her left, kind of did a little dip pass down to Smith when she went in for the layup.
See the replay, very nicely done. Smith unable to get that one up and through, but 2 free throws upcoming for her.
Well, you've got to know that that's a physical game down there on that court for Adriana right now. She's getting bumped. Well, she does. She gets double-teamed most every single game, but not with somebody who's 6'3" and 6'2" and 6'3" all down there inside with her.
You have to imagine, too, for the Maine Black Bears team, it's that game that you look at the calendar. I had an opportunity to talk to a couple of different Black Bears, including Ann Simon, Adriana Smith in the preseason, and I said, any games you're looking forward to, and they wouldn't necessarily come out and say it, but Indiana was definitely the one. Maybe not on camera, as Parrish blocked there. Smith, another opportunity, and Sydney connects and finishes there for 2.
Yeah, Adriana, I think, had to kind of stand back a little bit, doesn't want to pick up another foul.
First basket for Parrish in this contest. She was delighted, too, and Mackenzie Holmes, has circled this one on her calendar since it was announced as well.
Well, especially since she hasn't played in front of a home crowd for, well, she's a 5th-year student, so 4 years because she's playing in front of one now.
Rockwood, shot clock down to 6. That one's last touched by Moore McNeil, so we'll stay with the Black Bears, but very, very little time left on that shot clock.
Indiana is struggling with Maine's backdoor cuts. Maine does a really good job of setting you up, making you overplay the three-point line, and then cutting to the basket.
Smith to Simon. Corner 3. No good. Back iron. Rebound to Parrish.
Yeah, Maine's got to get a couple other players with a hot hand and not just Simon.
Black Bears trying to knock it away. It's been a great second half start. Maybe not in points for Olivia Rockwood, but she's playing all over the court.
Yeah, made some great passes, playing good defense. Can't just shoot threes. You got to be able to play the all-around game.
We talked about the homecoming for Holmes, but Sydney Parrish with a great tweet last night. She said she'd never seen Mackenzie Holmes happier than when she saw her touchdown off the flight in her home state of Maine as well.
Well, I'm guessing she wasn't able to come home for Thanksgiving, so this is a good Thanksgiving
We
time
talked
for her to
about
be with her family.
better conditions. They were just in Fort Myers, too, which is a beautiful location this time of year compared to the, I think, 20-degree temps I woke up to at 6 o'clock this morning. Blackbears with some great defense here.
They're doing a good job of getting their hands in the passing lanes. But again, you look at Sarah Talon, she's got long arms. Caroline Boardman, long arms, got to move her feet a little bit more.
Little bump here underneath, as that'll be a foul called on Smith. Reaching over a little bit, and a good drive in again from the Indiana side at Parrish.
Maine doesn't seem to be quite as intense in their gameplay right now. And again, that always concerns me a little bit about the Black Bears when they come out of that locker room. Coach Vashon and her staff do a great job of motivating her teams. But again, you can get a little sluggish when you've been sitting in the locker room on the bench for a little while, listening, getting a little bit cooled off. Yeah, Maine's got to pick it up a little bit more here.
Parrish, 1 for 2, still loose, pinballing around, finally finds its way to Ann Sun.
Good thing is Maine's got 3 or 4 people around the ball all the time, offensively and defensively.
Simon surveying her options. Black Bears really with a wide set here in the half court. Talon over the corner. Boorman step back 3, no good. Rebound Adriana Smith. That's now up to double digits, her 10.
She just got that rebound between 6'3" and 6'2".
Black Bears with another opportunity that is squandered as Parrish is starting to heat up here for the Hoosiers. Another deep 3 on its way. Back iron. Rebound pulled down by Ann Simon, who's also on her way to a double-double. Rockwood, wing 3. In and out. Rebounds pulled down. Scalia. Quickly out. Or McNeil. Underneath. Picked up. No good. It's a frenetic pace, but sometimes sloppy pace for both teams here as of late.
Yeah, they're both kind of jogging down the court here.
No second half points here for Ann Simon after 25 in the first 20 minutes. She does have 7 rebounds. 8 and 10 for Adriana Smith. Talon goes up. Can't get that one to drop. Parrish with the board.
Looks like she got bumped a little bit on the way up. But as she gets stronger and stronger, she's just going to be a great little finesse player. Physically, she's getting stronger from last year. And as, again, freshmen come in, they don't know how physically strong they have to be.
Black Bears just basically asking Indiana to take the 3. And Parrish says, please do. And she buries that one.
Somebody did not get their zone assignment. I think it might have been Sarah Talon, but should have been down there on that baseline.
Sydney almost with another steal. Here's Simon for 3, and she buries it. Ties her career best, and a timeout on the floor. It's Maine 42, Indiana 37, with 4:47 left to go in the third quarter here on ESPN+. Matching a career best, Ann Simon, 28 points, and we still have 14:47 left to go in regulation on this one. I mean, I don't want to jinx it, and we got a 2-hour ride back up north after this one, Sandy, but it's been spectacular here from the Cross Insurance Arena so far.
Yeah, well, they've definitely put on a good show. What a great thing for Maine Black Bears if they could get a W. But Maine is doing very, very well competing. This is a Big Ten team.
Yeah.
A top Big Ten team, a number 17 team in the nation, and Maine is holding their own very, very well.
First time the Black Bears have really had a caliber of opponent as a good backdoor pass to Barjesser. She gets her first basket of the contest. But the Black Bears played some pretty good teams. Clemson back at the Cross Insurance Center in Bangor back a handful of years ago. They hosted, what was it? I think it was Mississippi State, right? Purdue and Villanova in a tournament for the Thanksgiving holiday back a couple years ago as well.
Well, I think most good coaches like Coach Vachon understand that they've got to play better to get better.
Yeah.
You've got to play better to get prepared for your conference.
But it's always great to see here, especially in Portland, the up and under all.
That was going in. She gets her own rebound, puts it back up.
Adriana Smith.
That girl is the epitome of battling right now.
5th double-double of the season for Smith after that 2 goes through.
She was America's Player of the Week last week. I'm guessing that could look good again for the coming week.
It's hard to beat Ann Simon, however, and her 28
exactly.
points. It's pick
well,
or
it's
choose.
either one. It's either Simon or Smith.
Well, speaking of accolades, Mackenzie Holmes with another bucket here to make it a 3-point game just like that. Surprisingly so, Indiana has been trailing for much of the last 15 minutes of game time. But with that being said, they are right on the cusp of making this a tie game. We're taking the lead again. And Simon, though, trying to answer back. That one probably the most wildly missed for her.
Well, I think she had number 1's Barjesser's hand in her face. So, again, understandable it was off target.
Another break in the action. We'll step aside as well. It's Maine 44, Indiana 41 on ESPN+.
And up to 3 years, complimentary maintenance. It's your journey. Own every mile at the Hyundai Getaway Sales Event. Now's the time to get in and get away. Get 0% APR for 60 months, plus 0 payments for 90 days, or $2,500 bonus cash on the Hyundai Tucson. Now, during the Hyundai Getaway Sales Event.
2:54 left to go in the third quarter. 3-point lead for the Black Bears in this one. Brian Stackpole, Sandy Thomas with you. It has been a spectacular performance for Ann Simon. 28 points, 7 rebounds. She also has 3 steals, 10 and 11 for Adriana Smith, points and rebounds respectively. Indiana's Mackenzie Holmes again in the homecoming, already with 19 points of a performance so far.
A little bit of a quiet game for her, but I think it's because Maine was just doing a good job of not allowing, and that was one of the keys to victory that I had down here for Maine, is they would have to limit Mackenzie Holmes' touches, and they've done the best job they can with it. If they move the ball fast, like Indiana has been doing when they came out in the second half, they're going to get touches from Mackenzie Holmes.
Well, the good news is Scalia, who's been averaging 19 points in her last 2 games, and that Fort Myers tip-off tournament, she's only at 9 points, so she's 10 points below that. Still some basketball left to play.
Yeah.
But really, outside of Mackenzie Holmes' double-digit performance, almost up to the 20 points, but no other Hoosier has more than that.
Well, again, as we said at the beginning, the Hoosiers' offense runs through Mackenzie Holmes and Scalia.
Oh, Parrish, unable to get that one. Then a little altered there underneath is, not sure if Hodgson might have gotten the mid on that one, but the Black Bears breathe an exhale out. And Simon back to Hodgson. The junior from Ringe, New Hampshire, now to Rockwood, the Vermont native. Maine with such an eclectic mix of players from all over the globe. Drive in, trying to find Smith, and she's going to be fouled underneath. Looks like it might be Lexus Barjesser. Call for that one.
Yeah, Smith started to make something out of that move that Caroline Boardman was coming hard. Oh, no, excuse me, it was Sarah Hodgson that was going hard on the baseline. Left her feet. You can never leave your feet on a pass like that because Indiana's defense just recovered very, very well. But she did get the ball in the hands of Adriana Smith for a free throw.
7 different players for Indiana have registered at least 1 point. Hazard a guess here, Sandy. How many different Black Bears have scored in this contest?
I'm going to say, I don't have it in front of me, so I'm going to say 3.
You're right on the money. That's why you're the 3-time Hall of Famer. 28
yeah, I'm a good
points.
guesser. I'm a Hall of Fame guesser.
And after those 2 are through, it's 12 points now for Smith, 6 points for Sarah Talon. Goose eggs across the board for the Black Bears, but doesn't matter who's scoring as long as Maine has more points than Indiana when all is said and done. But not when you got a good backdoor cut there. Beautiful done from Meister, finished by Parrish for 2.
Well, they did exactly what Maine usually does. They come up down and set in a 1-4 set, and they get that furthest wing, come across the screen and go back door, and that's an easy layup.
Parrish now with 8 points, all occurring in the second half. Simon thought about the three at the top of the key. Whistle off the ball. Maine looks a little frustrated here, but we'll stay with them for the moment.
Not sure what was called down there. Maybe
Well, we've seen at times in Maine games where there have been some issues with clocks or something else. We had an issue with an operator. I think the last one was the operator in that matchup versus Rhode Island. Maine basketball back in the Pine Tree State as well. They've been down in Florida and all over the eastern seaboard here as of late. Good victory last night versus Holy Cross, a 15-point victory for the men's basketball team. They'll take on an Ivy League foe in Brown, as the Black Bears will take on the Brown Bears coming up on Saturday at noon. And Sandy and I will be back further north for that matchup here on ESPN Plus as well, of course, this Saturday.
Well, the Maine women in the America East tonight, the only other team playing, I believe Vermont was playing Dartmouth at Vermont. I haven't seen a score yet, but I think that was the only other America East team playing tonight.
And Simon almost getting the new career high. Instead, Bournemouth with a good battle underneath on the baseline, but to no avail. It'll be Indiana ball with a one-possession game. And guess who returns to the floor? Well, looked like it was about to for Mackenzie Holmes, but she'll retreat back to the bench.
Well, with 1:08 left, I'm thinking that even though they're down by 3, probably doesn't want to take a chance with her getting into any foul trouble.
So a clean game for her so far. A goose egg in that regard.
Good for her.
Travel called on Moore McNeil. 57.2 seconds remaining in the third.
This is where Maine's got to take advantage of scoring opportunities. And anytime they cause IU to overturn the ball, they've got to get the ball inside. They've got to get a good percentage shot and use it as a scoring opportunity.
Maine has not lost a quarter yet, but in danger of losing that third quarter here. It's 14-9 in favor of the Hoosiers, and another travel call, this time on the Bears in Bournemouth.
I wonder sometimes if Bournemouth, she's called for that a lot. I'm just wondering if she's from Denmark. I'm wondering if she's still struggling with that little international step. Should be at this point. She's a senior season. But again, it seems like she still does a little bit. She travels a little bit on that. And steal.
Forced steal for Ann Simon. And that one's going to be the body bump. Or Jesser with her hands and palms facing upward. But a chance for a new career best for Ann Simon here from the strike.
Well, I think Ann Simon got bailed out of that by the official because she was losing grip on the ball as she was going up for the shot. And she got a little bump there.
Simon just passing into number 9 in the program history scoring list, and trying to see if she might be able to get all 263 points that she needs to pass Iggy Koitzer in this contest alone. 29, a new career best. This one for 30. And she's got it. More importantly, a 5-point Maine lead with 38.1 seconds left in this quarter.
She's carrying this team right now on her shoulders, as she should be as a fifth-year student. All 5 years right here at the University of Maine, though. Right now, you're seeing a lot of rosters where fifth-year students are transfers in.
And the voters of the America East Player of the Year are starting to write an A for their Player of the Year in 2023-24. We'll see if it's Ann Simon or Adriana Smith.
Well, Maine has won each of the first 3 Players of the Week in the America East between Simon and Smith.
A drive in, a little reckless there.
Yeah, you got to fall over on that one. You got to take the knee and fall. Oh, wow.
So a jump ball, but favors the Hoosiers. Coach Vachon is not happy, thinking that that should have been going in Maine's direction in a different variety.
Well, I wonder, too, if she thought that might have been a foul on Adriana Smith. I think that's what Adriana Smith thought, but it's turned into a possession for Indiana.
So 12.3 on the clock. Shot clock will read just over 4 seconds. And there is a whistle before the shot. That will not count. Not enough to get free throws, so instead we'll have the shot clock off for the duration of this period.
Yeah. You hate to see at this point in the game, though, the officials start to interfere with the game. They can interrupt it occasionally, but don't interfere with the actual play of the game here with these calls.
They somehow find Sydney Parrish, and she's now got 10 points in this quarter alone. 5 seconds left on the clock. It's a 3-point game. And Simon, the player that the Black Bear faithful wants, doesn't get it off in time. I don't believe that will count. As they'll say it does for the time being, they will definitely review this one in the break. But as it stands right now, it's Maine 48, Indiana 45. As we'll come back with the fourth coming up next on ESPN+. That's just a confidence level one, not that Ann needs it, because she's already got 30 points on the board. A new career best for the fifth-year player for the Bears.
Well, in that particular shot, I think that her being left-handed might have hurt her a little bit. She had to take that extra turnaround to get around to her shooting side. But again, just great playing.
Oh, the rejection. Last touch off the shoulder of Talon. As Garzone said, absolutely not in my house.
Sarah's had a couple of shots blocked tonight, but that's going to make her stronger and tougher and develop a little bit more of a ball fake on her shots.
More McNeil. Given some space. Being defended by Ann Simon, but with a good few feet of space in between her. Blackbeard's actually in a zone currently. This one, the jumper is up and good, and just like that, 1-point game after your zone gets the bucket.
Well, the adjustment that Coach Morin has made in the second half is she's playing two post players. They're mixing up, they're going low to low and high to low. It's causing Maine to have to stretch their zone out a little bit and freeing up some of those post players for shots.
Simon trying to get the answer back. Good strong move underneath. Borman, actually, bigger pardon, Smith goes down after the Holmes rebound. Speaking of rebounds, Smith says, get this one out of here. I'm taking this one back. And a foul called on McKenzie.
Wait, that's not dirty play or anything, but a coach is going to love that when a player gets kind of thrown to the floor at one end and she comes down at the other and says, hey, I'm going for that ball too, and I'm going to throw you down if this is going to be a tie-up.
That was 5-year-old Brian's basketball prowess. I couldn't shoot. I was about 2 feet
you were the
tall.
Throwdown guy.
But yeah, no, I'd skin my knees to try to hustle after a loose ball. That's what I did.
That's just being competitive.
Yeah, my basketball career was not one to write home about. Rockwood's three was hoping to be that way, but instead Borman with a good battle inside to get that one out. Borman, backdoor pass from Simon, and that is off the window and in. Beautifully done, Simon to Borman.
Yeah, Indiana is really struggling with that backdoor cut, and I'm sure if they scouted Maine, Maine uses that as much as they can against man-to-man defense.
Quick answer back.
And they
zone with the two.
And there you go, with that mid-high post.
Yeah.
And a low post player, it's really kind of throwing Maine's zone off a little bit. So that's a good adjustment by Coach Moore, and for the second half, we'll see what happens here.
Borman becomes just the fourth Blackbeard to score, as that's her first basket of the contest. Double digits for Simon and Smith. 6 points for Talon, who gets the ball fed to her. Other than that, 2 points from Borman, and that's it. Little overextension there. Lucky not to get a foul called there on Holmes. And the little baby hook contested is good. Great Adriana.
Again, going up against 6'3", and what did she do before she shot that ball? She had a ball fake. Good job by Adriana Smith.
14 points, 12 rebounds. Parrish on fire. Another three-pointer. The first one for Parrish here, or bigger part of the second one.
And I'm going to guess that was another adjustment that Coach Moore made at halftime, was that she needed more output from her other players other than just Mackenzie Holmes.
0 points in the first half for Parrish. 13 here so far in the second half. And a nice hustle play knocking that one out.
Well, it's a brand new ball game basically at 52-52, but Maine's got to make sure they don't start to play apprehensive and try not to lose. They've been playing like winners the whole game.
Yeah.
They got to make sure they continue to do that.
Simon has been relatively quiet, so to speak. Just 5 points in the second half, 25 in the first half. So Indiana's had some good second half adjustments on her.
Well, one thing they did is they switched Moore McNeil onto Simon.
Simon for three. In and out rebound for Holmes.
She's on target.
Moore McNeil with a chance for Indiana to take their first lead since the first quarter. In and out rebound. Back around, Simon comes out with it. Maybe with some numbers if they work quickly. More of a half-court set offense, but driving by Holmes. The up and under the contact, and one, and Simon.
Ann Simon is having the game of her lifetime right now. Was she at 32?
32 points and a chance to make it the Palindrome of 33 in a moment. Just like that, Smith back in the contest for Maine, a very momentary breather, as I know that they'll be getting ready for another matchup just down the road here on Sunday, but you know Maine wants to get this one.
You got to want to get this one when you got, close to 6,000 people in the stands.
Oh, that one hung up and did not find the dance partner through the cylinder. 5,979 to be precise, a sellout here in Portland.
Didn't they announce that that was the largest crowd that Maine had played here at home?
Yep. Another record. In and out. Rebound. Guess who? Holmes. Put back. No good. Too hard. Still battled. Or Jesser. Back out. Holmes now. Barish has got the hot hand.
Good recovery on defense by Maine.
Here's zone for three. No good. And there's Ann Simon coming out with a big board again. And she now has a double-double.
Maine is doing an excellent job of boxing out this size against Indiana.
So Ann Simon, 32 points, 10 rebounds, and 4 steals as well. Rockwood swings it over. There's Sarah Talon. She's got a half dozen points. Just a sophomore, too. A lot of talent for the Black Bears in the future as well. She's just trying to get this one to somebody off the rim and no good.
I think she knew she was going to be called for 3 seconds there, so she threw it up in the air. Not a bad move to make, but again, got to be under control.
Oh, a nice mid-range jumper and silky smooth from Garzon.
And I like what Coach Moore has done. She's put somebody at the mid-high post, making sure Mackenzie Holmes is on the low block, so you got to contend with 2 people now instead of just 1. And it's hurting Maine right now from that position.
Smith surveying options. Simon. Or Jesser on her. Now she's going to be trapped here. Black Bears do have some numbers. A whistle and a timeout call. It's Coach Vachon with 5:02. Wants to talk things over here with the difficult defense.
Yeah, that's a good timeout by coaching staff of Maine.
Tie game, 54-all with 5:02 left to go. We'll step aside, come back with more from the Cross Insurance Arena on ESPN+.
Amanda?
Hi, Amanda. Come on in. Nice to finally meet you. Thanks so much for inviting me in. Come take a seat.
Yeah, she even looked uncomfortable on that shot.
Barish trying to feed it in, back over. Stutter step in. Count it, and 1. As Indiana takes the lead for the first time in the second half, and now a chance to make it a 3-point advantage.
Yeah, Indiana's lineup out there right now is 6'3", 6'3", 6'2", 5'10", 5'9". Maine's tallest player on the court is Adriana Smith at 5'10". But right now, you know something? Maine is playing big. They didn't on that particular shot, but they've been playing big all night long. They can't stop doing that.
Parrish knows something about playing in front of the home state faithful. She does that every single home game for the Hoosiers. Former Miss Indiana basketball. Originally started her career at Oregon, transferred back to the home state, and she has been living up to all the expectations that Coach Moore and company had for her.
Well, quite an athletic family. Her dad played at Ball State. Her mom played at Valparaiso, and her sister swims at Kansas. She's a 5-star recruit. So.
Yeah, 15 points for her, all in the second half. Shot clock down to 5. Talon driving in, throws this one up. It's blocked. Smith, and just all off kilter for the Black Bears as they turn it over.
Now, right now at this point, with 4 minutes left to go in this game, being down by 3, Maine has to believe they can win this game.
And you wonder if the sails might have been deflated a little bit by just finally giving up the lead to Indiana for the Black Bears so late into this one. Moore McNeil, little bump, off the window and in. 5 straight points after the break. First basket from the floor for Moore McNeil. 5-point lead. Here's Simon. Looking for some help. Gets it out to Talon. Maine again taking a long time to half-court sets. A little hand check there called on Holmes.
Maine's got plenty of time. This is a two-possession game right now.
Third foul on Indiana of the quarter, just the second one on Holmes.
We got 20 more seconds on the shot clock.
A lot of fans were hoping here in attendance that Mackenzie Holmes would have a great game. She has, and Maine could maybe come out and sneak out a victory. Well, there's still a possibility of that one, but nonetheless, Maine's going to feel like it's a win no matter what the outcome of this one, because they hung with the number 17th ranked team in the country for 37 minutes almost, at least so far in this contest.
Well, right now, Maine's allowing the shot clock to get down way too low, and then they end up having to take a bad shot, and that's exactly what Indiana University is forcing them to do.
The dagger has been dished out. Moore McNeil with a three-pointer, the largest lead of the night for Indiana, as it's currently an 8-point advantage for the Hoosiers.
Well, Indiana's a team, too, that's very used to being in these types of games, where they've got to fight and battle back and go ahead and get a W, and obviously they've got shooters and scorers and defensive players that they can do that. You just hate to see Maine play such a great game and then struggle a little bit in these last 3 or 4 minutes.
Timeout on the floor here. Again, we talked about it, a sellout crowd. First time the Black Bears have played here in a very, very long time. It was the America East Tournament, which was held in a neutral site at the time. And this time through, they're back here again. But what a good crowd, and a lot of fans that don't necessarily make their way up to Orono getting a chance to see the Black Bears and the Hoosiers, which you normally wouldn't see here in the Northeast by any means, but the return home for Mackenzie Holmes, and that's a great show of respect, too, for Coach Terry Morin and her staff to say, you know what, you've been such a huge part of our team, the second leading scorer in program history, we want to take a game back to your home state.
Yeah, and every coach, usually in a recruiting process, every coach will try to say that to recruit and mean it. They will sincerely, in the 4 years or 5 years at this stage of the game, will try to get a player back to their home state to get them in front of their home crowd.
Well, we saw Anna DeWolf with the Fordham Rams last year playing up in Orono. She's now actually playing with the Fighting Irish of Notre Dame.
She's actually playing for associate head coach there, Carol Owens, who was an assistant with me at the University of Michigan. Great young lady, and a very, very good post coach, especially.
The Sandy coaching tree has no end to the roots.
Well, are you saying I'm old? Is that what you're saying?
No. I said you started early, Sandy.
Yeah, I started when I was 12.
2:32 left to go. I was going to give you more credit earlier than that even.
Yeah.
Bear swings it around. Moore McNeil has been on fire here in the fourth quarter. Her 2 first baskets made from the floor, but they came in the last 2 possessions for Indiana. 5 straight points for the Hoosiers off of her mitts. Here's the drive in Parrish. A little contact here. Black Bears come out with it. It's pulled down by Smith. Black Bears look a little less energetic than they had back in the first, which is understandably so.
Well, it's a very physical game for one thing, and people forget how much that can be wear and tear on your body. But they have an excellent conditioning program at Maine.
Rockwood for 3. Good. That's a big one for the Black Bears to get back into this one. 5-point game.
Yeah, they need her to get on target for sure, because she had 6 of those in the last game. 18 points.
Now Maine needs a defensive stand. Indiana hoping to quell the comeback for the Bears. They can hit a bucket here. Could be all she wrote. And guess who? Mackenzie Holmes will do it.
And gets fouled.
The hoop and the harm. Mackenzie Holmes, in her homecoming, might have finally done in the Black Bears with that effort.
Looks like she's got some blood. Oh, no, actually, she's lost a contact.
And I feel that, too.
Well, about this time of night, I haven't been wearing my contacts much, but about this time of night, they get pretty scratchy, so.
She has been brilliant in this one. 21 points. A little shy of the double-double that we thought she was on pace for, as she just has 7 rebounds, according to her stat sheet. But
well, what I like about her game, she just plays within herself. She doesn't try to do anything fancy. She gets the ball down low where she wants it. If she doesn't have the shot, she'll skip it back out. She just kind of plays within herself and within her own game.
Well, 7-point lead for Indiana. 86 ticks left on the clock. So Maine has to hold their breath and hope that she misses on this one, and then they can start raining down some productive buckets on the other end.
Well, and plus, with such a great game for what, 35 minutes basically, you would hate to see them lose by double figures. You want to keep that under that double figure mark, but
a little bit more heckling of Mackenzie Holmes on that free throw attempt than any of hers prior.
Not so much a homer on that one.
I think they want to see the Black Bears come back and maybe see some extra basketball. Ann Simon's been relatively quiet in the second half, steps out of bounds, and I think her heroic effort here might just be a little short.
Well, Maine's had, probably 3 or 4 turnovers their last 2 or 3 possessions down the floor, and IU has just taken those scoring opportunities off turnovers.
25 points in the first half, just 7 for Ann in the second half, but no reason to hang your head. Foul called as Rockwood just careens in with Sydney Parrish just a little too hard.
Good sportsmanship, reaches down and extends a hand to help her up.
Well, if the score holds with Indiana winning this one, they can breathe a sigh of relief. They did not lose their second game of the season and can maintain one of the top spots in the Big Ten before conference play gets underway next month as we turn the calendar over to December. Another steal for Simon. She's not done yet. Up and through for another 2. 34 points for Ann Simon. Quick stoppage here with 60 seconds on the clock. I think they want to check on something with a review here.
Yeah, again, I think a clock problem again, I think.
Well, this is reminiscent to the performance that we saw from Blanca Milan.
Yes, yeah.
Where she was just unstoppable in a matchup.
You know, Blanca Milan was a really great finesse type player. Ann Simon is just a little bit more of a physical type player, an aggressive type player, but still so smooth, especially when she goes in for that arm extended layups. Great defensive player. She has 34 tonight?
34 at the moment. See if she gets any more than that. Trying to look back and see, well, the last time a Maine player scored 30 points, it was Adriana Smith back of late February versus Binghamton of last year. But Blanca Milan had one game where she neared 40 points, and that was such an impressive effort. And of course, Cindy Blodgett, we were actually talking about her before the game got underway too. But she was definitely a wagon when it came to scoring points for the Black Bears too. One of the leading scorers in NCAA basketball history too. Just an absolute scoring machine back in the 90s.
Well, she was a difficult player to defend. She kind of had that two-handed behind the head shot. You almost had to go behind her to get a blocked shot, but always protected it well with her shooting arm and her non-shooting arm. So again, different style of a technique of a shot.
Well, I'm trying to do the math here quickly. Mackenzie Holmes already over 2,000 points for her career. So I'm trying to do I think with the 22 points, she needs 238 to go into first all time. So I'm thinking that she'll probably do that at some point by the end of the season, as the Hoosiers have some aspirations to go into places they've never gone to. A Final Four appearance, maybe a championship game. They've come close. They've been on the precipice of getting to that next level, but have just had that elude them so far.
Well, she's only the second player in Indiana University history to score 2,000 plus points. Has done well for herself, this young girl from Maine.
Indiana making their first NCAA tournament appearance back in 1983, and what a long gap in between their next appearance. 2016, and then they went on an absolute tear. 16, 19, 21, 22, and then, of course, last year. And this year, preseason coaches poll, number 3 in the Big Ten, and the second in the media poll in the conference as well.
Last year, Indiana lost in the final seconds of the second round of the NCAA against Miami, 68-70.
A chance to watch that game. Again, the intrigue of watching to see if Mackenzie Holmes might make it to the Final Four, and a disappointing end probably for a lot of Hoosiers fans just in the second round. Sarah Talon with the foul. And that one is missed from Scallion. It's not necessarily a performance to write home about for her.
You know, looking at this. This is still a 2-possession game if they can get 2 3-point shots and tie it up.
And tons of time left, all things considered. Another timeout on the floor, 53.4 seconds, and 6 points of differential.
Well, win or lose in this game, the Black Bears have made a statement, I think, to the America East.
Yeah, Maine returning almost all of their scoring outside of Abby Lawrence. Abby Lawrence graduating, who was a contributor on this team. A few points per game, and of course, they had a couple other departures as well, too, due to injuries. Katie White, Lexi Middlestead, who's actually on the staff here, the latter. But the Black Bears returned almost all their scoring from last year. So did Vermont, the America East champions. Black Bears falling in the semifinals of the conference. Catamounts making it to the NCAA tournament where they fell by a wide margin in their first matchup.
And they had a good game tonight against Dartmouth, beating them 58-32. So Vermont's going to be another team. Albany was a tough team always, but I think they've lost most of their players. They've got a couple of players back, but could be an interesting conference at the top 3 or 4 teams. And JIT is playing well right now as well.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, and a foul called on the Black Bears, trying to get some space, and I think that's going to be on Ann Simon. And the clock might have struck midnight on the Cinderella story for the Black Bears in this one.
Yeah, you hate to see those kind of calls, though, at this point in the game, 53.4. But then again, you got to call what you see in front of you, I guess.
Coach Vashon's having a little conversation here just to kind of go through some things. Indiana with another timeout as this one has crawled to a snail's pace in the waning moments.
Yeah, and it shouldn't because, again, it's a 3-possession game now, but...
Well, it's always interesting, Sandy, too, in the matchups. You like to see what kind of was expected by these teams, and Maine was, I think, thought to maybe give a decent start and maybe hang with Indiana for the early stages, but I don't think anyone thought Maine was going to take a 2-possession lead into halftime, lead for much of the third quarter, and then have Indiana finally come back in the fourth and then take the lead to where it is now sitting at 7.
Well, Indiana just came off a couple of really good games. Number one, they beat Tennessee 71-57.
Yeah.
And then they beat Princeton, who played up at Maine last season. I thought they had a really good team, and they beat Princeton 72-63.
This is one that shows the Black Bears to the rest of the America East that they are not a team to be trifled with.
Well, I do believe that probably when Indiana walks away from this game, Maine will have gained their respect.
Yes. And should the Maine Black Bears win the America East and go to the NCAA tournament, I think a lot of coaches are going to pull the tape of this game and say, okay, this isn't an easy first-round matchup out of the America East and the Northeast. No. Bears are a great second half, by the way.
Yeah, Maine's got 49 seconds here. Let's see if they can get a good shot off this. Maybe even get fouled.
Maine doesn't need a three-pointer, but they'll take one. And Simon, can't get that one. Moore McNeil will have that one pulled and tied up.
Yeah, good. That's a good way to dig into that ball. Get a jump ball.
So it'll go to Indiana.
Yeah, you really hope Maine can keep this in single digits.
And another timeout on the floor. Maine has already, by the way, expended all their timeouts. Indiana, I think, has one remaining, and that will be the case as the scoreboard updates here in front of us.
Well, good. I think it's a good timeout for Indiana. There's 38, almost 39 seconds left. They're up by 8, excuse me. And you just want to make sure your team is on the same page. Hey, what are we going to do with these last 39 seconds here? We're not going to throw the ball away.
Well, the good news is some of the exodus here towards the exits might make it a little bit easier for us to leave to head back north after this one.
Well, that's if we can find our car.
Yeah, that might be a little bit more of an adventure. Timeout has wrapped up. Indiana 67, Maine 59. Brian Stackpole and Sandy Thomas, pleasure to have you with us.
This has been a great game to do. It really has. These last 2 or 3 minutes, Maine struggled a little bit, but what a great game Maine has played. Battled, competed, gained respect. That's all you can ask.
Yeah, it looks like Maine is kind of conceding defeat here. They'll still try to give it their all in the last 30 seconds. Not
Well,
fouling here.
I respect what Coach Moore is doing too. I think she's probably going to wait for a last shot, but does she really need it? Well, she does because there's only 7 seconds left on the shot clock. So
this one up, no good. Mackenzie Holmes at least gets a touch on it here. And Simon.
Wouldn't you know, Ann Simon, the ball will end up in her hands at the end of the game.
Oh, and Rockwood had her heel out. We'll miss it anyway, short. 5.4 seconds, which ironically is the number emblazoned on the back of Mackenzie Holmes, 54. And she will cross over half court. A standing ovation, not just for the Maine Black Bears, but also for Mackenzie Holmes, who returns back to the Pine Tree State, puts up 22 points, 7 rebounds, 2 blocks, a steal.
Gives Coach Vachon a big hug and the rest of the coaching staff.
And of course, a big win nonetheless for the Hoosiers, which is more important here as they'll move to 6-1 overall, as the Black Bears will drop back down to 500 at 4-4.
What I'm taking away from this game, though, is as they walk through and shake hands, is the fact that just how hard both teams played. What a well-played game in front of this huge crowd here tonight.
Yeah.